Well, Northwest River is the oldest community in central Labrador, established in 1743. One of the first buildings that was probably erected there was the Hudson's Bay Company Trading Post, which has now been turned into a museum, by the way. Earlier today, I spoke with Karen MacDonald, who's with the Labrador Heritage Society. It's their museum, and she told me a little bit about Northwest River and the museum. Karen, this body of water here, is this the actual Northwest River?
Yes, it is.
I noticed there are motorboats in the river here now, quite a few of them. What would they be used for?
Well, at one time they were used for transportation by the trappers and their families for berry picking, fishing, seal hunting, and that kind of thing. And today they're used mostly for recreation.
Now behind us here we have the Hudson's Bay Company store, the original with its English lettered sign and bell-shaped roof. Is there any particular reason why the company established this building in this location?
The river was the highway for the trappers, so the Hudson's Bay had the trappers coming and going to their trapping grounds. The trappers would stop at the store to do their trading for food and clothing and to sell their furs.
Now today it's a museum, of course, and I bet you've got all kinds of interesting things inside that building. Shall we go in and take a look?
Sure, Carl, let's go.
Okay. How do you do, man?
Good day.
I just spent a month in the woods trapping these animals, and I was wondering if I could trade these furs for some food. I'm really hungry.
I'm sorry, sir, we don't deal in furs anymore, but I can give you a cup of coffee.
Oh, well, you know, Karen, it's just as well, because I don't think I would have made a very good trapper anyway. But way back when, what would the trappers actually have traded these skins for?
They would have traded for food, clothing, and articles for trapping and fishing.
Well, let's look at some of the other stuff you have here.
Okay.
Karen, tell me about some of the stuff you have on these shelves.
This is some lead shot that the trappers bought to make their own cartridges. They would fill the shell, make their cartridge like this for their hunting.
Almost looks like some kind of spice, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And this is a trap that all trappers had, different size traps, and this is one that they would purchase at the store as well.
And I guess these are examples of the type of furs that would have been traded?
Yes, it is. We have some muskrat, marten, and mink.
Something interesting on the wall here. What is this contraption?
This is a beaver skin. It was stretched on a hoop such as this to be dried for selling to the trader. Carl, where are you?
Well, I was just in here making some flummies, Karen. What are flummies, anyway?
They are a fried bread that the trappers subsisted on. That was their main diet other than fish and meat.
Now tell me about this place. What was this used for?
This was the trapper's home. Away from home is where he lived, and it was used as a shelter, and was just built with logs, and the seams were all filled in with the caribou moss that he found around.
Well, it isn't the Hilton, but it's pretty comfortable in here, I must say.
Oh, nice and cozy.
I guess some of these old trappers must have been real characters.
Oh, they were, and many hours spent alone. They wrote many poems and stories, and when they met with each other, they would tell a lot of ghost stories as well.
Karen, at this station we have an example of a poem written by a trapper.
Yes, we do. It's about a broken mug. It's when the trapper was in his telt, he dropped his mug and it broke.
Well, let's take a listen.
The Broken Mug by Sherlock Becky. I want to use for tea no more. I'm only stuck with glue. The younger ones that worked with me, they held me tight and sure, until that old age shaky man had dropped me on the floor. I tried my best to save myself, but nothing I could do. I hit the table, then the floor. That's when I broke in two.
And Karen, this is Sherlock himself.
Yes, it is. This is a painting done by Isabel Watts for our museum.
Well, I want to thank you and the Labrador Heritage Society for showing us your museum today. It's been great.
And thank you, Carl, very much for coming.
And I sure hope a lot of folks come to this museum, because there's much more here to see besides what we've shown them today. We just scratched the surface.
Thank you.
And for those of you who may think that flummies are the same as toutons, actually flummies are a little bit heavier than toutons, so I've been told.